What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, man, we're going to be looking at the new LAV and the new Russian vehicle that we just got added to the game. I was going to do them one at a time, but I decided to just do them both in the same game. I don't know. Okay, so LAV is there, and we need this one to come over here. There we go. Now we're all together. Now that we have that, let's go into the LAV and the new Russian vehicle. So the LAV is a pretty dope vehicle. I think it was really needed, in all honesty. But there is some things that I don't like about the LAV that I do want to mention. The first one going to be that the interior gun is a 7 times default optic, which means you can't do any more than any lower than a 7 times, which I think really just hurts this thing. Anything close range ish. Now this thing is an absolute monster. If you can get this thing on a hilltop or something and overlook a position, you're going to absolutely devastate everything in its path. The second downside of this vehicle that I found is that the driver does not appear to have a way to look out in first person. Now, I may be using this thing wrong, but I spent a lot of time looking at this thing in Game Master, and I've yet to see a way to go in first person and look out of the vehicle. So if you're driving this, you will have to drive this in third person, unless there's a way to that I haven't figured out quite yet. And something I wanted to mention too, that the LAV comes with 2 grenade launchers, some grenade launcher ammo, grenades, smokes, extra magazines. Comes with the M240 belts, as well as some M249 belts, and then as well as some meds, as well as you can see that, and then also smoke and 40 mics as well. Now this is going to be the same thing for a lot of the new vehicles that were added, so the LAV and the new Russian vehicle, as well as the new Hilo, and for the American and for the Russians. They've all seemed to have had some changes to what is inside them when they spawn, which is I think is really cool that they've added that, because now it makes vehicle storage actually seem important or seem useful. But without further ado, let's get right into the interior. So inside the LAV, you have a couple different seats. Your first seats are going to be against this wall, so you're going to be looking at the wall when you get in. But you have 3 seats on that side, 3 seats on this side, so you can fit up to 6 infantry. You also have over here in this back corner is how you switch to gunner, driver, and commander. So the gunner seat, which we can go here next, you're going to see this in the gunner seat. You can open this hatch if you want to look out for some reason. Well, I believe you can also get in this way as well, so if you want to get in that way, you can. But you can do it the way I said showed it as well. This is all you see for the gunner position. Now, when you aim, you're going to see how you're zoomed in automatically to 7 times. So that is kind of a downside. But it does have the illumination of the scope illuminating. Now, there's a couple different weapons you have on this. So you have this weapon, which is the M242, which is the heavier round. This is going to be your anti-vehicle ammunition gun. We can switch ammo types again, and we can get the 242, which looks like to be the incendiary version. So this catches on fire a little bit, and then we can switch again, and we should have. After I just completely moved, we have an M249 or M240. I don't know why I said M249. An M240, and this is going to be like your machine gun, your standard infantry killer. And that is going to be your gunner position. Now we can go to commander seat. Now it is not really clear what the commander seat does. He doesn't seem to do a whole lot from my knowledge. He kind of just sits here, but I guess if you needed a commander for some reason, you can have that. And then here in the front, we have obviously the driving position. Now the driving position is kind of weird, like I said before, because you don't have a way to look out. And you can see it's kind of a tight squeeze over here. It's a very tight squeeze. But what you have over here, you have high beams, you have a dashboard light. It's that light right there. You have the lights, standard, hazard lights. Back here is your engine start. So you actually have to move to start the engine. Now, once it's started, you're pretty much ready to go. There's no Like I said, there's no way to look out. You can look up and open this, but you still can't see out. So again, if there's some way in this world that you can see it out of this thing in first person, I would love to know, because I have yet to find a window. So like the BTRs, if you've driven those, you know those have like the little knobs in the front where you can open the windshield, but there is no form of that for this. So we're gonna go ahead and start driving off of this thing. The thing is pretty damn fast for the most part. It's better on flat surfaces. During any time of uphill, you're going to experience a lot of traction issues where it just wants to kind of not want to move. But for the most part, when it's flat on the ground, it's very good. It's very quick. Downhill, this thing will pick up a lot of speed going downhill. And that is pretty much the gist of the LAV. That is it, man. There's not much about it. It is a very simple vehicle. This is meant to counter the BTR. That is the whole purpose of this vehicle. And now we're going to move on to the Russian vehicle, which is called, I believe, it is the BRDM-2 reconnaissance vehicle. This is going to be a more quicker vehicle, more meant for rapid Russian infantry movements. And this one's pretty simple to get in. All you have to do is walk up to the front, look at the front thing, if it works. There we go. You can see here we have the driver. If I can get in, hello, game, thank you. But you can see here, if we open the trunk of the BRDM, we have mines with some of the ammo, AK mags, grenades, explosives, stuff like that. We're just going to hop in. I don't know why it's being so fidgety. I really don't know why it's being so fidgety. There should be a way another way into this thing. If not, it's just kind of toxic the way you get in. There we go. Now that we're finally up here, that was obnoxious, but we got in finally. So we're going to hop in the driver's seat first, just because this thing seems to be a little more frustrating to get into. I haven't really used this one, not nearly as much. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So let's go back to the gunner seat here so we can go... I don't know where the passenger seats are considered as. Does it only have one passenger seat? I guess it does. So it has one passenger seat right there in the middle. This is the gun turret. You can see here you can move it around. Same thing with the LAV. You can move it around just like any other vehicle. You can move it up and down. But we're going to look through here. You see there's no other controls here. So this is the only control. Aim. This one has a default of a 2.6 magnification. First weapon is going to be a PKM MT, which is going to be your machine gun. And then you have a KPVT, which is a little bit heavier weapon. And then back to your standard weapon. So you only have 2 weapons on this vehicle compared to the LAV, but you have to also remember that the BTR is considered the heavy vehicle for the Soviet team. So they already have an LAV basically. But this also has the illumination for the optic, just as the LAV does. So now that we're out of that, we're going to head into we're going to head down to passenger seat real quick, so you guys can get a perspective from that. Again, very simple. Not a whole lot of stuff going on in here. We'll switch to the commander seat, check out that. So just like every other vehicle commander seat, you can see it a little bit. So here you can control the spotlight from here, or searchlight, sorry. You can also open these doors. So unlike the LAV, so both Russian heavy vehicles have a way to look out while driving in first person. Nothing else here. You have hazard lights. You have your dashboard. We're just going to turn that little bad boy on. You have your regular lights. You have your high beams. Down here you have the, I don't know why I'm seeing it, but it's not showing up. Let me try to go to the driver's seat. There's the handbrake down there. Again, you can also open this door here. And then behind you, there's nothing there. I don't see the ignition inside, which is very interesting. Am I losing it? Searchlight. I do not see the... Oh, nope, I do not see the ignition inside for some odd reason. Oh, there it is. So it's going to be right next to the high beams. And again, just like the regular one, but this one you can actually drive in first person. But for the most part, this is supposed to be a quicker vehicle. So this is going to be like your 50 cal Humvee similarities, kind of like the 50 cal Humvee in the sense that it's meant for very quick contact. So you're meant to get to the front lines of this thing very, very quickly and just get back to main base, etc. This is not really meant for heavy firefighting. I'm assuming this thing has probably some decent armor, so this thing might eat some RPGs, unlike say the Humvee, where the Humvee one RPG destroys it. But I'm assuming this also does have a way to eat some RPGs, so this is always a possibility as well. And with that being said, those are the two new vehicles that we have gotten in Update 1.3. There is one sort of new vehicle, which is the FIA medical van that has been converted into to a supply van. So it holds 800 supplies, but that's the only difference with it, and it has no seats. So I'm not going to do a video on that just because it's kind of nothing really unique. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys found these vehicles cool. I definitely think the LAV is the coolest of the two. But I have a feeling that the LAV will become a not really that well used vehicle. Same with this one here. I feel like the BTR is still the dominant vehicle for ground combat just because of its ability to eat RPGs from the front and its ability to just do absolute nasty damage to any aircraft in the air. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.